Hi and welcome to WP Master Clone. Now in a moment I'll show you how to clone a WordPress site in just one click without using cPanel, installing plugins or running PHP scripts. In fact, you won't even need to log into WordPress. But firstly, let me explain why it's better to clone WordPress sites instead of making backups. So backups are great when your site sits on the same host and domain, but restoring a backup to a new host and domain is usually problematic. This is because multiple entries in your database are still pointing at your old site and configuration. Now this is true even if you make a cPanel backup, which is why most pro webmasters use cloning tools. However, most cloning tools are expensive and almost always require some kind of setup and technical configuration. Now whether you backup or clone, currently the process takes 6 steps: installing a plugin, configuring a plugin, making a clone, uploading image and script to your new site, running script and restore image on your new site, and then restoring your permalinks. This is long-winded and often problematic. Now of course the biggest reason to clone is to grow your business quickly by having the ability to duplicate sites from a master site. This saves you huge amounts of time in installing WordPress, configuring themes, plugins and building pages for each and every site. So with WP Master Clone we wanted to give you a simple tool that works with minimum effort. In fact, all you need to do is enter your site login details and press start. Let me show you how it works. Okay, so this perhaps will be one of the shortest videos in demo history. I'm going to clone this site here onto this site here, and I'm going to show you that both sites are real by refreshing both sites. And as you can see, they are. So I'm going to minimize that window now, go to WP Master Clone and show you how this works. Now all you need to do with WP Master Clone is to enter your site admin login details, which is your login URL, your username and your password for both your source and the destination site, as I've done here, and press start. And you're going to get a reminder window, which then you press OK and the clone process starts. I'm going to pause this and come back to this in a second. And as you can see, basically it says clone process has finished. So I'm now going to bring up our sites again. So that was our source site and there's our destination, and I'm just going to refresh the destination, and as you can see that job has been done. Okay, so as you have seen, that was incredibly easy to do, and we have got other things basically with the software, such as the advanced cloning mode, which allows you to change any of the parameters should you have any trouble with your clone time and out. You can skip large files or skip or exclude directories. And you can also press this refresh MySQL connection if there is an issue there. There's all sorts of things basically which you can tweak here, and they're all covered with tooltips and of course basically with the support section here. Now we also have a pro upgrade which will be offered to you after purchase, and that allows you to do some more clever things. You can install WordPress remotely, for example, on a completely blank site without needing to access cPanel and go through all the menus there. So that's a massive time saver. And we've got this Pro Clone mode, which allows you to clone really large sites, such as your data delivery sites or your content delivery sites. So if you've got any big sites, that's really useful as well. And this section as well also allows you to save clone images. So it acts more like a backup tool too. So you can save and restore images here. So as you can see, this software is pretty powerful, and essentially it gives you all the options of the best cloning tools and the best backup tools without any of that complexity and any of those steps that you'd normally do basically on a standard cloning tool. So as you've just seen, WP Master Clone is the easiest WordPress cloner on the market, with all the functions and features you'd expect to see from a professional cloning solution. Now the product is on special launch offer right now, so you're going to get at least 60% off the standard sale price which we'll have when the product launch closes. On behalf of myself, Chris Hitman, and Jane Williams, the product creator, thanks for watching, and we look forward to having you on board.